Hey guys, so today I want to show you how I made this. This is my compact, lightweight, well it's lightweight till you add ice, lightweight, portable, um, Tupperware, food container, ice chest, air conditioning unit. So basically you can use any container you want, but I've chosen a food container because of its size. So this is what it looks like, and you just power it up here. Turns on the fan and it blows out cool air once you put ice in it, of course. And I'm going to show you how I did it. All right, so today what I want to do is I want to make a do-it-yourself air conditioning unit. If you followed me during my element build days, you could see I made a AC unit out of the tiny little sink I had in the element, but my sink is way too big to make an AC unit. But using the same concepts and improving on it a little bit, I'm going to use some a food container AC. So I'm going to build an AC unit out of this. I got some PVC pipe, some semi-rigid duct, not the flexible duct, but the semi-rigid kind. And I got a fan, and this fan is going to work out perfectly because I could take this mounting and then all I have is this, and that itself is going to be perfect. I used a computer fan in the previous one, so this one is going to be even better. It's going to be rechargeable, and it's already contained. So let's get at it. Okay, so first what I want to do is I want to bend this tubing so that it fits what I'm looking for. So what I was originally thinking about is doing it this way, but it got a little bit crunched up at one end. So I'm going to go this way, like that, and have the fan blow here and then the output here. So I'm going to cut right over here. All right, so I got my kitchen shears. And hopefully I don't cut off too much. There we go. All right. Not the prettiest cut, but it'll do. I'm going to fold in all the excess stuff so it doesn't get in the way. And there we go. Let's get this in here. Try it out. All right, so that's what it's going to look like. One will be in and the other one will be out. Let me put on the top for you to see. So the top will come on like that. I'll have the fan up on here to blow it in, and then I'll have this guy. It'll be down deeper, but this guy will be blowing it out. Alright, so what I want to do on this side is that I want to put some foam right here so it'll hold it up. So I don't really want it to sit here on the corner like that, because then it'll be hard for me to get my fan and my output exhaust to. So what I want to do is actually have it over here instead of here. So I'm going to put a little bit of foam spacing to keep it away from the edge so that, you know, it'll line up better with the out and the fan in. Alright, so I have this black piece of foam. It's a thicker, sturdier foam. It's not styrofoam. Styrofoam's all that brittle stuff, and I'm kind of glad. I don't like the color being black. I just kind of want it to be white. You know, for some reason white looks like it's colder. But anyways, that'll give me a nice cushion. And I'll probably want to put some on this side too, and on this side. All right, so I got some foam cut, and I'm gonna put it onto the edges. That's the way it's gonna look. I don't need anything on this side. I guess, I could put it just for a little bit of insulation, but I think it's gonna be fine just like this. And this way we're gonna be able to fill in a good amount of ice into this. Go like that. So now I need to cut a hole here and a hole here for the out. But first I need to modify my fan just a little bit. What I gotta do is I gotta take off this pivot clip thing. Alright, this, I assume if I pop off this cover, it should expose some kind of screw or nut. There, it exposes that screw. Take off that screw. Alright, take off that clamp. I'm going to have this, which is just the bare fan. And it works without it easily, of course. Control 3 different speeds. So that's going to work out great. So what I need to do next is to drill a hole so that this fan would blow into this duct and then out this duct. So 2 holes. First we're going to do the in hole. Alright, so I got that hole drilled out, and the fan will basically sit on top of it like that. I'm hoping that the weight of the fan is enough to keep it down and steady. I'm probably going to put line some electrical black tape around the edges just for a little bit of extra grip because it's a little bit softer. Now I'm going to drill a hole for this side. Alright, so I went to Home Depot looking for some inspiration how I want to mount this side. So I found this. This is a grate, 3 to 4 round grate. And I figure if I mount it to the top of that, then I would be able to slide on an elbow pretty easily, and it'll stay pretty tight. So I'll try doing that. And with this, I could I'm gonna cut out this inside stuff. I'll put some screws in on the underside. All right, there we go. All right, got my 2 holes. Okay, so how I want to mount this piece up is I want to screw it from the back side. So I'm going to drill some holes so that I could screw it with 4 little screws back here. All right, so I have the holes, and I'm gonna put some caulking, and then I'm going to screw it in tight. All right, so I got some caulking.
All right, you can see it, a nice seal is made all the way around. So I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to add just a little bit more around the outside. Just like that. I'm going to let that dry, and while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to mount this side. Now this side, what I'm going to do is there's nowhere to screw it because this is really flat. So I'm just going to put caulking all the way around, and hopefully that'll provide a strong enough bond. But we're going to see. So line that up. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some around the perimeter. Hard to get it over here. All right. So I'm going to let it dry up. And this caulking, it's white right now, but it dries up clear. If you look at a computer type fan that's really efficient, you'll see that there's very little gap because they don't want any air escaping, that all the air is pushed in the direction that it's intended. So in this case it would be that direction. If you look at the fan that I'm using, you can see there's a huge gap, and this fan is made to disperse air, so the designers didn't really care to make that gap real tight or anything like that. So I'm going to try to make it a little bit more efficient, and I'm going to use this high density foam, and I'm going to try to cut around and make a border that's a little bit tighter around this guy, so that there'll be less air escaping the direction that I don't want. All right, so I made that styrofoam ring thing. I don't know how much it's going to actually help, but I think it will help. But we'll give it a shot. So you can see it spins freely. Now the silicone has dried, so it's clear. If you look real close, there's still some whiteness, so it's not completely dried up on the inside portions of it, but the outside is dry, and that's good enough for me to run my tests. I pushed the trim up a little bit, so I'm going to use these scissors to push it back down. Okay, so that's in, and that's the way it's going. So once I put it in, it looks like it sounds like it's rubbing up just a hair somewhere on my trim. So I'm going to trim that back a little bit, and then we're going to give it a test. All right, so next up is I need the output vent, and that's going to go on top of that. It's going to look like this, so that I could easily adjust the angle that I want that. So here's the box that I had, but what I want to do is, I have this molding, this foam here for some spacing, but I want to trim that down a little bit so that this area can be filled with more ice. So I just need a little bit, just to hold that edge in place. Yeah, that's all. That's really all the foam I need. Put it right there. And there we go. So this output side, I want to adjust how much moisture I get from the melted ice, so I could I could line up this thing, and I close it up with my tube, and there'll be a lot less moisture mixed with the melted ice. But so if I tilt it down a little bit so that more air comes from that angle, then I think I'm going to get more moisture, which is actually what I want in most cases. So first, let's close that up and give this a shot. So I'm feeling right here, feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. Okay, so what I have right here is a thermometer set up. This is just a room thermometer. I don't think it's real fast, so I'm gonna have to give it some time to settle. And let me try to angle it so you could see. It's around 78.9 right here, 78.8. It fluctuates a little bit, and the relative humidity is around 48 right now. So I'm going to turn on the fan, and I'm going to see if that changes at all. Okay, so it's back down to 78.8. So it's somewhere between 78.8 and 78.9. The humidity fluctuates between 48 and 49. I'm going to turn it on without any ice or anything like that, and wait a minute or so to see if that changes. Okay, so I've been letting this run for like a minute, and I think the temperature is actually going down. It's 78.6 right now with just the fan going, so it makes sense. Just running the fan will give you some marginal gains. Whoa, boy, look at that. Went down to 78.4. Humidity stayed around the same, 48, 49, about the same. So I'm going to let it run for another minute and then come back to see what it says. Okay, so just running the straight fan with no ice cubes or anything inside my AC box. I went from, hey, it looks like I'm hitting at 78 sometimes, around 78.8, 78.9 degrees to as low as 78, and then maybe 78.2 sometimes. Oh, look at this. It just dropped down a little bit below that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some ice cubes, and I'm going to see if I could get even lower than that. I dropped a couple of pieces of ice cubes in there, but it's really no big deal, even if you do. And I don't have time to wait for the ice to melt for a little bit of humidity, so I'm going to add just a little bit of water to simulate a little bit of moisture from the melted ice. It's not realistic to think that the ice is going to stay like this forever. So the ice will melt, and the cold water will have some moisture that I actually want to pump into the air. Alright, I'm going to close this up. Alright, you can see that since I turned off the fan, it stayed at 77.9 even though I turned off the fan. So I don't know if this meter, it does, like I said, it's not real fast, so it does take some time, but let's see if we could get it much lower than that. So I'll let this run for a minute or two and then see what readings we get. Already it's dropping to 77.5. Yeah, that was pretty quick. 77.0. Wow, this, and my hands, it definitely feels colder. Let's see if this thermometer is going to continue to drop. Wow, I came back and it's not even been a minute and it's already dropped to 74.6. So I'm going to leave the camera on and let's see if we can get this to continue to drop right in front of our eyes. And it definitely is. And when I put my hands out, it definitely feels significantly colder. And this thermometer, it's proving that it's doing way better than a fan. Alright, let's come back in a minute, see what it does. Alright, I've come back and it's been about a minute and it's dropped to 72. Hey, I feel that's pretty, 71.7. I think it's very significant. And it looks like it's going to continue to drop. So another interesting thing is that the humidity went up too. Here it's up to 52 now. So the moisture from the water is definitely causing an increase in humidity, which is what I'm trying to do in this case, because I want that swamp cooler effect and to get the air to feel a little bit colder. 71, wow. Well, that's pretty amazing, I think. I didn't think it would work this great. It's 70, so it's continuing to drop, so I consider this a success. So it's dropping to the 60s now. Let's see if we lower this fan speed to see. Alright, so this is the lowest fan speed. Let's see if it still drops or it goes up a little bit. We'll come back in a minute. Alright, so even on the lowest speed, the temperature is still continuing to drop. It's been a minute later, the humidity has gone up. Now it's 54, which makes perfect sense. So all in all, I'm really impressed with this do-it-yourself AC unit. And the idea is that if you could get your hands on a big gulp of ice or something like that, you could just pour in a cup of ice into this bucket and it'll keep you cool. You know, especially if you could blow it straight in your face for a while on a hot, dry day. It'll feel great. So there it is, my AC unit. So believe it or not, I showed my wife and she loves it. And she's going to sleep with this right next to her bed. So instead of throwing out the ice cubes, my wife's going to sleep with this next to her tonight, just like I would on a camping trip.